But that brings us now finally to our tier list, which we have not done in 2 months plus. 11/20 was, or November 20th was the last time we did it. This was the snapshot that we were looking at. So just kind of, again, flash back. This was released, or we did this 1 week after Helen of the Black Rose's release, and she drove a ton of those changes. And obviously, there's a lot of units to add in here now that have further shaken up the meta from where we looked at this then. And so we have on the top half here units that got some kind of upgrade where they were not on our tier list. We're gonna have the debate whether they finally earn their spot on here or not. And then we have brand new units to the game. We are going to take a stab at 2P being released here soon to kind of see where that ends up shaking things out. And so, do you want to start here at the top with these units that are kind of come back into the fold with their 140s and whatnot?
Yeah, why don't we kick it off with the near units since you're kind of sticking on the same topic?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 2B immediately for me is maybe C tier, but I could see a case for B.
I mean, we have Zazan down there for evasion. That's about it for like same archetype. Maybe Stern is an evasion unit, I guess, as well. Ruin Stern.
Yeah.
And then in B tier, we have Elena, who's a comp. We have Chunak. With her getting like the guaranteed hit null on the LB, it's on the line for me. She still has quite a few other deficiencies. She doesn't have like the barrier break or imperil like Chunak does. And he also has guaranteed hit null.
Correct.
I would probably put her a peg below Elena and Chunak.
I would agree.
So I think C is probably fine for her.
For me, it really comes down to her actual physical job for me. I don't think she does a lot from a utility perspective, where to your point, Chunak has like a unit in peril and a couple good teammate buffs, and she's okay, but just not nearly that same level of impact. Yeah, we'll leave it there though, because we have a lot to get through. Which brings us then to 9S, and I'll liberally put him at C. I think that's high.
I can see C. Like we have Gurns back there for a comparable. I mean, Gernsback is probably a little bit better than him, like in terms of like some of the utility that he brings. I think like for 9S's niche, he's probably like between a D and a C. Why don't we put him in C though for now?
Just for now. And I also like look at some of the units here where, we have Summer Lilith and Summer Ketone here where haven't seen the light of day, and at 9S at least has like a real specialized niche in that physical damage. And being the Pierce type, which we have seen some game balance gone favorably for. Gernsback has the utility but doesn't have the bulk, and so net effect doesn't actually end up having a high impact. 9S is kind of the antithesis of that. I would tentatively put him here, but I agree it's very borderline. This might change. Cecil, I'm going to go D, if not lower.
I don't think he's going to make it on for me.
I don't think so either. I'm not even going to put him on. There's just so many deficiencies from an agility perspective. His job is so short range. Yeah, they gave him a bunch of penetrations to kind of keep him up with things, but he's particularly for light. When it comes to light slashers, he just kind of brings nothing that no one else doesn't already do better, if not more, within their kit. That there's just, yes, the brawl is nice, the shields are nice, and all that good stuff, but no.
And he's got the big magic weakness too.
Right.
So.
Right. I unfortunately might leave Rosa in D also. The thing with Rosa, it's very tough. AI for auto PvP has always been very difficult because you have to go either one of two builds. You have to either go, she's a archer and she's going to do her damage, or she's a healer and she's just going to heal. And if that's the case, there's better ice archers out there. They're not even on job-based vision cards. And if you're going for a healer, there's better healers out there, and rainbow healers in particular. That good unit, not anything near what you'd use though.
A big miss for me on Rosa with her upgrades is that she absolutely needed some additional range. She doesn't really have any good range in her kit, so she's like stuck at like 6 or 7 maximum. She needed to get like another +1 or +2 just as part of her MA2 or 140. So yeah, I don't think she's going to make it onto the list either.
No, absolutely agreed. And then Golbez. I know for me, I actually played with Golbez. I 140'd him. I was very hopeful for some of that Staff Devout cards, that he fits that brawlier bulk that Soul and Renan did. That although I don't love his 140, it's one of those things that like game balance has shifted, job-based vision cards have changed things. The results weren't good. I don't know if it's, honestly, I could be okay with him being in D. I think he's better than Cecil and Rosa. I'd be comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think D's good for him. I agree.
Yeah. It's not good, but
Not
like it's not.
not good, but I mean, really, none of these units in D are that good. So I think that's
Yeah,
that's fine for him.
definitely. And Prompto, I it's never been on this tier list, and I don't think he still deserves a spot. I think he's off.
He didn't get a good upgrade, so yeah, I
No.
think he's off.
Yeah. Um, Yerma,
Yurma, I think makes it on. I don't think she's gonna.
absolutely. I put
She's at
Yerma C for me.
C.
C, absolutely. I'm actually, spoiler alert, if you guys are still watching the podcast at this point, I'll let you know. I was actually, with some of the downtime this week, not having TP out yet, I was actually going to do a Yerma character review this week because
I love it.
I'm so flabbergasted with how many upgrades she's gotten, how much penetration she has, and all the different things. She's part of the Axe group. Like, there's a lot there. I'm her magic weakness is disgustingly bad, but then again, like I've seen some units, like we were just talking about Grifford with the -10 magic res, that like still seem to do okay. Like somehow she's still gonna get blown up in a magic meta, but like I'm rethinking it. I could be comfortable with C.
Okay. Why don't we knock down 9S to D? I don't know about Yurma and C, but we'll go with it for now.
The thing is, I've seen fights with her, and again, thanks to Crimson and Arena, I've seen fights with her where I've lost to a team with Yerma in it. I can't remember the last time I lost to a team with like Halloween Fred or Raldor, or you know what I mean. Like, there's some units here where like are easy wins,
There's
and
such an anchor, yeah.
yeah, and Yerma's carrying her weight in a lot of those teams. Now, again, not in a Magic meta, but yeah,
I can see it.
yeah. Well, then Shadow Links on Ice. I've had good results, but very much glass cannon results, so it's hard to say any kind of consistency. I'd be okay putting her in C. I think she's worthy of a B, maybe, but that's a stretch.
She's at least a C, yeah,
Yeah,
minimum. And maybe depending on matchup, you could make a case for B, but well, yeah, C is good, I think.
yeah. The thing for me with the C is that her survivability is very much subpar. She does the damage. She's actually a very meaningful contributor with the dispel, with the 100% hit, the map flexibility with the jump +1 on that first buff, the protect. You know, there's a lot of things there, but like she just dies to everything in 2 hits, and I can't. You know what? I'm gonna put her in. I'm if Jaden the Celebrated's in B, then Shadowling should be in B. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's not a real argument.
I mean, when I look at some of the characters we have in B, like I don't think she's that far off from them. Like you
Yeah,
look at like if you look at like Astrius and you look at like I don't know Miranda, and
we
I
have
don't think I think she's you could put her in the same ballpark as some of those.
Yeah, we have Resol here. Like Shadowlix is at least as impactful as Resol. Like, yeah, the Melanie is the same idea. Like she dies in 2 hits but has high impact. Kind of the same idea. Like it's not perfect, but it's high impact.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
convince me.
All right. Yeah, convinced myself. I didn't think I was going to do that. Which brings us to the newer units as well. And this is going to get tough here. We're running out of slots. We might have to reevaluate this.
Well, there was a couple that we wanted to drop out from D. That's
Oh, we'll do that now.
yeah. So Barrett and Lucia, it's time for them to drop down.
Yep.
Just the overall like issues that we're having with missile and these being not very flexible missile units, and that they're gunners and really subject to line of sight. Frederica, I think, stays for me because at least she has barrage, and that still has some value. She also has like pretty good missile res pen and stuff like that. So I think it's okay for her to stay. Tifa is really borderline for me too.
Yep.
Raldor as well is pretty much borderline. Terra is in locker in danger of falling for me, but I think they're okay for now.
They're very close. Yeah, if we really need to make room, I'd have no problem dropping Terra in particular. I think I could easily drop. I've never seen her in auto PvP. I mean, like ever, in anywhere in the top 10. At least some of these other units, I remember a time where they had a peak. Terra was literally never, and then Raldor.
Cue somebody in the comments telling us how they tear it up with Terra.
Right, absolutely. And then same with Locke. I can't think of a good argument why I'd even use him ever, like ever in the future.
Right now, he's yeah. Those two units in particular were two units that we said had horrible upgrades last year, Locke and Terra. So yeah, they're definitely in trouble right now.
Yeah. Everyone else, even though I don't see them as a like analyzer, I know they're still worthy of the D. I think with someone like Charisse, you never see her, but she's like actually like a worthy unit. Like conceptually speaking, it's risky.
All right, so then the new units then.
Dagger, I'm okay to be. I think she underwhelmed, but we've used her with some good results. She's not as difficult boom or bust as some of these C units are.
I agree. I've really tried hard to make her work, and you have as well. And we have had her in our teams, and she's has gotten some good results in this particular Magic meta. I think she's once we like transition into like more of a hybrid meta or a physical meta, I think she goes down. But I think for now, B is okay.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. I know for Zidane, I'm going A personally. Like for me, like if you're making a win team, he's choice number one or two or three. He's right there competitively. He's got a lot to like in terms of the card seal. He's got the barrier break as well, and a whole bunch of the follow up attacks that does surprisingly strong damage, as we've talked about. The dagger class obviously needs some help from a VC perspective, but it's not that far off. I'm pretty comfortable with him in terms of like, if Reagan's here, Zidane should be here. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those.
Yeah, I think that he has that unique niche in the game that he can protect courage. So that's one big feather in his cap. He's just a unit that doesn't really scare you at all. He has a little bit underwhelms, but I do think that he is good enough to be an A for sure.
Right. And again, it's purely off the sake of like comparison's sake. When I look at the B units, like I think he's superior than almost all the B units.
Yeah.
For what he
Yeah.
does, like as a physical damage dealer. Is VV an S? I think he's got to be an S. It's not for much longer.
For what he has done like over the past month, I think he's an S. I think he's immediately in danger of falling out. I think like as we move forward, he's going to be one of the first Magic units that probably has to go. But he's been amazing. You know, he's been a huge cog in that Black Mage team. So for now, I think that yeah, I would agree that he's definitely there.
Yep. I mean, the limit break is still a game changer. We still theory craft around that. The utility of haste on the sub job is amazing in terms of like adding something. He, in terms of magic units that are usable, has the highest magic res pen of all of them. Technically, he's the one that can achieve all of that magic res pen. Like, there's still not enough demerits. He's got his own re-raise. He can seal re-raise for himself and teammates. Like, there's so much there still that it's hard for me to not see the value, even if it might be more short lived.
He's got that flair with the re-raise removal. Yeah, he's got some good utility, and he surprises you sometimes with how bulky he is, especially with the heal back and his re-raise and things like that. So he's ended up being like a very good like pseudo support unit, kind of coming in the back, hasting people, maybe sometimes getting off a clutch cure.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's a good spot for him for now.
Yeah. Winter Wrath. I'll let you kind of take the lead on some of these last few as a jumping off point.
She's a minimum of A, I
Yes,
think.
absolutely.
She was very disruptive. She's been like the best tool we've had against that Black Mage team. One of the best.
Yep.
Definitely the one that most definitively can shut it down until we start getting A2 and then some other stuff. She has such like such a glaring weakness against physical damage and also with her accuracy that I don't know if I could put her into the S tier. Like if we're just talking about her mitigating magic damage and being like a magic bruiser, 100% she's like the best we've ever seen. I would probably argue. But from an all-around standpoint, I think A is probably more fair.
I would agree with that. And if you made the case for S, I'd probably agree with you that too. She is very borderline for me, where we've had even Lynx in our guild come up with some creative builds where he'll like in non-magic oriented teams he'll turn that AoE spear ability off and let her spam dispel instead. Still gets exceptional results. This supplicant sub job still does great things for the light and dark res and the protect. It's not as strong as Shal's, but still brings a lot of good things. Her limit break with the slow and select 2 is still certainly nice. There's still a lot of things there that check all the boxes, but you bring up good weaknesses like the accuracy being a big one of them. That yeah, I'm okay with the A.
I mean, it's tough to say because she has been so good over basically since she was released.
But
And she's definitely so good in that lightning team as well. But now that A2 is here and seeing how easily she dies to A2, it does have me thinking a little bit differently about her.
2 big points of bias. Number one, the arena and guild war map effects for lightning have been so strong that's in her cap. Number 2, we're literally in a magic meta, which is her strength. So all of our experience with Winter Wrath has been A, buffed, and B, her time to shine. So like that's why when I think of like the broad scheme of the game, not the S level, even though she's been S the past 3 weeks, month, 2 months, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oh boy, it's tough. Young Eld.
He's so good.
I have an opinion.
You take it. You take this one.
I'm going S. I know it's strong, a lot of people may not necessarily see it. Young Eld, he is the perfect brawl unit in this game. He regens so much health on his attack. The AoE barrier break is just as valuable as Bradley's. He's got his own general HP barrier. He can get as high or as low as the HP value as you potentially need. The heavy armor has made him great for the Dragoon Helm and Keenblade. All of those good things. As a spear unit, he is a integral part of the Pierce teams, both for Wadar and for Pierce. That I think he checks all the boxes. For if Bradley's there, like Young L does, Bradley does things different with the CT up, but like in terms of like why he's partially there, the oppressive offensive nature, which is only going to get better, I think, with some of the AOE crush that we're seeing rise. I think Eld's worthy of the S.
I'm not going to disagree because I mean I've been using him for, for amazing results since he
Amazing.
came out, and I know a lot of people had to skip him because he came kind of at a tough time. A lot of people kind of discount water as well because lightning is so strong. You really shouldn't because it's a really strong element right now. You know when you can pick your opponent, so it's an amazing attack element. He's bar none the best spear unit in the game. Not even close. Like he's S. I'm okay with S. Like at the bottom rung of S, he's good.
Did
I
you
like it.
did you use him in Quick Pick or no?
I did.
Yeah, and what do you rank in Quick Pick?
I was top five.
Thank you.
So
There you go. There you go. You guys want proof? I was 45. Ram 9 was top 30. We all used Young Eld in all of our Quick Pick stuff. How often do you 6-star VV Helena meta right now? Every day, 70% of the time, 80% of the time.
pretty much, yeah.
Every day, 6-star Young Eld. Like it's there.
It's good. It's
It's
good.
there. Uh, Young or Ashes the Past. This is a tough one.
He's pretty close to S, if not S. I hesitate a little bit to put him there because I feel like even within his own team, like within the Lightning team, he's not the true carry. I feel like that is still Alaya. And like in the Greatsword team, I feel like he's a step down from A2. And if I'm hesitating to put A2 in the S tier, like I'm not going to put this guy in the S tier, even though I think he's good. He's really solid unit. On the other hand, I do think that he's probably a little bit better than Zidane. He's definitely a little bit better than Stern and Bartz.
I'm comfortable with this. For no other reason than he has shown to be an integral role player in both physical and magic metas. He's in the weapon type that we're seeing the big upswing in. He's got the AoE crush and the barrier break, both things that everyone desperately needs. He's got the downside of being kind of like a 2 buff mandatory unit. Some downsides there, but like his limit break with the poison procs every time, it's been really good. The regen certainly keeps his effective HP alive. There's nothing like not to like, if that makes sense. I really haven't found like a weakness per se.
He's a very, yeah, I agree. He's a very safe unit, and his LB is a game winner too. Like he'll just come in and
Yeah,
you think you're safe after the first hit, and then the follow up smacks you, and you're toast.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
let's go S.
And I'll also take this quick downtime. I feel bad because I totally think misled some people earlier when I was talking about S ranks. When I consider S rank, or when I was thinking about my personal grades. Like when I do the report card, because that was the context that this person asked me. They thought I would give them an S rank in my grade. My report card is not the tier list grade. Different. Totally different Y grades. So when I consider an S tier, my S tier is not this S tier. It's a much smaller selection of units. So when we get to A2, that's a sneak preview of where I think she'll land. That's a different grading
Yeah, the
scale.
thing with the tier list is that we're considering meta conditions as part of it, and pick rates, and actual results on the battlefield is the overall kind of summation of where they end up. So
Yeah. Okay. And that brings us to Bronwell here. I'd be comfortable putting her in a B.
I think B is good. I don't have as much experience with her yet because I have been slow building this unit, and I haven't really seen very many people using her yet. Magic is not her forte, the magic meta. So I think that there is some promise for her still, in terms of what she's a bulky unit, and she's in that great sword class as well. B or C, B is good. I think when I see some of the other units there,
Her
I
her bulk her bulk stands out for me. She's way bulkier than most units are. When I look at the C tier units, those are characters that I would be hesitant to even test with at the moment. We're gonna change some of these grades, but
yeah.
there's some units there where I'm like, it's not even worth my time. Like Bronwell's worth the time. She's there's some units in B that she deserves to be in that conversation with them.
Yeah, I think B's a good spot.
Yeah. Veritas of the Wind is a very interesting one. Again, not fully completed yet, and very limited playtime on our end. JP's had him for a while, with surprisingly not as good results as we thought they would be. I think he's very good. I'll throw the ball out there. I'd be comfortable with him in A, to be honest. Like, he's got the self haste on that an initial buff, which is for free. Like, most people need to dedicate a whole TMR just to that. He's got the AoE crush as well. He's got the general dispel. He's part of that spear group that's pretty oppressive. Being a wind unit, obviously A2 changes that conversation a little bit, but like wind, he's still a top tier unit to pair with flag bearer Glaciella, that they go in perfect synergy, and he greatly amplifies her ceiling. So on that alone, when you talk about like a grading scale, like it's not always how good the character is, but like what do they do for teammates? That regard, like he's like an excellent teammate amplifier for a variety of reasons. It's hard for me to.
The fact that he's competing so well at level 120 without an LB, I think says a lot about like, what he can do. I think A, like bottom of A is good. And then, maybe he kind of cements his position once he gets his upgrades.
Yep, I could see that. I'm cool with that. Which then brings us to A2, and I'll let you do the liberty of placing her because I'm going to agree with you wherever you put her, and I know we're going to put her.
I mean, I think she's better than Astrius personally. So if Astrius is an S, we got to put A2 there.
A2 is without question S. Yes, for me.
Yes. She has been phenomenal. She's a true carry in the game. Really, the only thing that is really going to get to her right now is going to be fire units. And even they're struggling a little bit. Like I said, Saul is struggling to kill this unit. You really have to kind of dig into some of the, Euphies and Setia. We tried her. You're going to have to kind of think a little bit outside of the box to kill her. She's going to be a staple in the game here for a while.
Completely agreed. Which brings us to the difficult one, because 2P is not here yet. We can only go off JP data. We've done some theory crafting, but I know I haven't done my character review yet, so I haven't done quite the deep dive that I normally would to say this with confidence. I'll rely on JP Ospidge here, though. I don't like to do that because we build way differently than they do. We wall differently. Our pull rates have been different, so the distribution of characters is different. So it's a nice roadmap, but it's not apples to apples in terms of results. They're using her to some excellent success, though. It's hard for me not to put her in S based on how they're utilizing her at the top end of the game.
Wow.
Right? She's in every wall in Froze. She fits into all those teams as we were just talking about. You can go evade or brawl. And again, we're looking at some of the A units as the barometer of comparison. She brings the AoE crush. She's got the dispel, the evasion versus evasion matchup. She gets the guaranteed hit to herself. The dispel protect, the follow up, like the courage move. There's very few holes.
Yeah, and like we were seeing, wind is on a downswing, at least over there. At least people aren't using wind very much.
Yep.
I mean, it's hard to say if some of it is kind of map influenced and like map effects influenced, if that's playing some role there.
Good point.
I think at a minimum she's A for me. Like I was gonna say A or towards the top of A. I don't know if like I can say she's like better than a Perrine who we have in A as like one of the best fist units.
Well, that might change.
True. Perrine did get some upgrades.
Right, we're not done here yet.
Yep. Well, why don't we start with S and we'll let it marinate here while we try to finish this out.
Yeah.
It's tough because like a lot of our S units haven't changed in a while, and I think today they are going to be changing a little bit.
Yep.
As we kind of go into the next section. So.
Yep. I totally agree. Now, just quickly before we move on, one of the big things for me too is like an S designation. For anyone that has like a very strong debuff weakening or a very strong AoE crush, hard for me not to put them in S. That's such a big driver of the meta at the moment that if you have like strong affinities toward either one of them, like that's the new power creep, if you know what I mean. And they're the ones that drive that meta going forward. 2P has that. A2 has that. Astrius has that. It's hard for me to not consider that when I talk about the meta because AoE res got just such a astoundingly high level that if you can imperil that by 60%, even 30%, is a massive value add that it's hard for me to not consider that top end of the game for how you compete with what already exists there.
I can definitely see that point because, like you said, area resist is through the roof. Everybody is building it. Everybody is buffing it. So, everybody's going into, or many units these days are going in 50, 60, 70 plus area resist. And it's pretty stifling, like on a lot of the damage dealers, even some that we have in our S right now, like Bradley. His performance right now is definitely not S, but that debuff could bring him back and put him there
Right.
potentially. So
Absolutely.
it does have that kind of impact.
Absolutely. That'll bring us now to our final thoughts here, where now that we've kind of placed our units, we've defined kind of a new S tier of where those new units are. We can reevaluate a couple units here to see if they move, if we want to talk and elaborate on them. Just a quick key designation here. The arrows that are red and green, up and down, that indicates that they recently got some kind of upgrade, an MA2, a 140, a limit break upgrade, whatever it may be, that it's worthy to reevaluate them here if that upgrade was enough to shift tiers. Many of them it is, many it's not. The yellow and blue arrows that shift back and forth, this is more of like we want to specifically highlight this character either because we think they're out of place or deserves a conversation talking point. It's really just a highlight for us to like narrow in on a certain unit. So we'll probably start here at going, and this is my preference. I prefer going S tier down to D tier, and the reason, just conversationally, it's because the S tier drives the entire conversation. We need to determine who is in the S tier, and then you see all the trickle down effects of it. To me, it doesn't really make as much sense conversationally to start at the D tier and work your way up because you don't really know ahead of time where like what those factors are. All right, so then kicking off our topics here, we'll start with Soul, who didn't fare well with a lot of the game balance, where way more unit res abound than when he first came out, way more re-raise than Courage nowadays, which was his big thing in dispelling the Courage. The magic resistance levels are way higher nowadays than they were 3 months ago. Is he still in that S tier, or is he fallen because of the meta and the game balance?
Kit wise, like I feel like his kit is still great, still is a very unique unit in terms of the role compression aspects that he has, where he's a healer and a damage dealer in one. I think though, because of the meta right now, he has fallen into A tier for me because he's near unusable against pretty much everything that's being used right now. Like Helena and Vivi completely blow him away.
Yep.
And even like the lightning teams with Raph and Astrius also blow him away. So he doesn't even have that right now. So unfortunately, I think that he has fallen off for me. That could change as we kind of develop further into the A2 meta, and maybe that will be something we talk about next time. But I think it's hard for me to say that he's still S tier with his performance recently.
It pains me to say it, but I agree. My only candle of optimism is the fact that we might be in full Ice Swing meta, and he is among the top fire contributors. That being said, he's not the only one, so that's not really a good argument why Soul should be S. It's, that's a fire thing. I'm okay bumping him for now because the performance has not been there. And you're right, he loses to variety teams, Pierce teams included. Pretty big Pierce weakness there. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Edison Ray, Courage is getting removed a lot of times now. That was her big thing, and evasion is much less seen than Nullify Sure Hit to teammate isn't as profoundly impactful as it was in the theory crafting days. She's still in the S tier.
I think she's fallen as well for me. I think that Soul Regram, it's still amongst one of the best buffs in the game. Her LB is still great. She's still very unique in terms of what she brings, but I think that we had her in S kind of be, propelling that light evasion angle that was kind of going on, for that first month or even like 6 weeks of Helena's release. That has really faded away, and it's not as good as it was right now because of Vivi and because of Raph. So I think A is probably a more fair place for her right now.
I completely agree. The thing with Addison, for a very long time, she was a very good unit versus top tier evade. She was nuking a lot of evade units because the guaranteed hit, the single target, but single target res is way up. And then even on that note, when I first was using her against many of those teams, magic was not scary. Addison was like the best magic unit in the game. And so that bar has shifted with the release of other magic units. Now the game balance has changed to adjust for those magic units, that what she currently has is not the same level of oppressiveness. It's still very high in the A tier, though. How about Dialdo here? Kind of interesting to see a tank be on the chopping block, per se. I'll let you take this one, too.
I love Dialdo. He was one of my favorite units from last year, and he overperformed even my expectations, I think, for a very long time last year. He hasn't been as strong in this magic meta. The problem is that if you do have somebody pocketing him, that person also ends up getting caught in the AoE and kind of dies with him. So I think he's fallen off for me a little bit, especially like with kind of some semi-evasion that's being played where his damage has really gotten taken out of the picture, which was one of his biggest selling points for a while, is that he was popping people for 5 to 7k damage. And then this, the evasion started creeping in, and he's easily getting taken out of the match. So that kind of combined with him dying a little bit easier these days, I want to put him into A. How about you?
This the first one I think I'll counterpoint because I actually don't disagree with anything you said. I agree with all of it. But Dialdo, from like an effective HP perspective, I had to drop his faith down to your exact point. I dropped him to 70 faith, which also hurt his damage, which I don't disagree at all. But when I think of like the tanks that still can compete, there's still something to be said for designating how enemies move, and Dialdo still has that effect. I think we even saw that in the replay when we did our like Earth versus Helena Vivi match like a week or two ago, where you saw the influence of Dialto, how he moved, and how it completely changes how enemies move. I still think that's a very important factor here in the game overall. That yes, he may not be a guarantee for the Pierce teams, and maybe not even a guarantee for the Earth teams, but he's still the top choice. And if Raph is still here, like she doesn't do anything different than he does in terms of like survivability. Do you know what I mean? I think they're both still like 3 hit or 4 hit units. She's got the re-raise, so maybe she's got the extra hit on him. But she obviously has more utility from like the defense and spirit break. But in terms of like the tanking job, I think they both kind of do that similarly enough that it's hard for me to keep Raph and S and drop him when Raph is as much of a product as VV Helena as it is like herself, if that makes sense.
At least from what I've been seeing lately, like at least Raph still has her guaranteed hits, and she has a heal
Oh,
back,
yeah.
which
The
has
healback
been
healback doesn't always go off though. These maps she's getting baited
true.
real easy with that big AOE. I'll give you the guaranteed hit though. That's a nice factor. But actually, no, hold on. I'll push back on that because we've ran a lot of evasion, and although she's hitting people, they're still losing. That team still loses even with their guaranteed hit. You know what I mean?
Let's leave him here for now because I don't know if I feel strongly enough to move him down to like really fight for it, but he's definitely like approaching that, because like you said, he is often left out of a lot of spear teams. He is often left out of earth teams these days sometimes as well. So a lot of earth has been going evasion and not always including him. So it's hard for me to think of an S tier unit that's being dropped out of a lot of their prime teams. But
How does he do versus the meta? You think in the next couple of weeks, the A2 and Astrius and the Great Swords? Like I feel like he can go toe to toe with that. If Vivi Lena goes down, doesn't that opposite mean good things for him?
fairly strong against slash damage. He's got high defense, and I think like the debuff weakening is on his buff is one of the key things too, where that does allow if he's able to get that buff off, then that definitely helps him against the mages. It's going to help him against A2 also. It's just whether you're able to actually get that buff off is the question.
Yeah, well, good. Honestly, good debate. I'm not terribly sold on him being S, to be honest. It's more just like I hate to drop a character down to A for 2 months when it might just be kind of like a meta hole, if you know what I mean.
With I mean with the fist meta coming in and maybe things trending a little bit more physical, why don't we leave him here for now?
Yeah, yeah, we'll find out soon too. Bradley, very interesting to see. But we dropped Sephiroth last time, so there's no one is safe in these rankings. As of today, I would drop Bradley to A. That's crazy, I know, but you've seen this. Alaya and Lightning can easily take him out with just like the amount of damage that she does. Wind, although not very strong, absolutely hard counters him. Many of the wind units do. If it wasn't for 2P, I'd drop him. I'd keep him S though because of 2P. I think she saves him because of her AoE crush and then just what she does for like bringing another X factor to the Earth overall.
A2 also demolishes him because she has the huge courage removal.
Yes.
And like courage in general is like really hard to kind of rely on right now. Astrius also removes it very, very. That lightning team often is able to turn the tables on Earth, on like the traditional Earth trio with like Renoa, Dialdo, and Bradley. So he's borderline right now. He's like in
Borderline.
danger of falling out. I agree. I think that 2P is going to help him out kind of as we move forward here. So maybe we leave him here for now.
Yeah. I think it's fine. We'll go down to the A tier now in terms of like who might be moving up or down. I'll kick this one off. I think Perrine is about to be S, personally.
I agree. We
Yeah.
we moved her down last time, but she got like the upgrade on her weapon, and the MA2 kind of came in. I think like she is like one of the best water units. Like I think as a damage dealer, like she's certainly one of the most potent. Like she has an excellent AoE attack, an excellent unit attack, very bulky. She doesn't rely on like courage or re-raise. If Bradley's there, I think Perrine probably deserves to be there. So
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I'm okay with it.
Her strike res pen they gave her was all I needed. That was the only reason why I ever dropped her down to begin with. Where you just can't compete in this game at 10 strike res pen. You just can't do it. The fact they gave her all that extra, I think it's up to 40 now with the MA2, something around that ballpark. The healing power down, as I mentioned earlier, I think is going to be a key thing going forward in metas between 2P and the ketone coming in. Strike obviously getting kind of like a 2.0 here. I think she benefits just as much as anybody.
Plus Elds and now 2P both having the area helps her out big time with her vortex kick. So we're definitely going to be seeing a lot more Perrine, I think, here going forward.
I would agree with that. I know we have a couple other yellows here. Vega is an interesting one. I've not seen any Vega used at all. He's much better now than he was on release, in my opinion. Is he still an A unit? I haven't seen enough bad performances to drop him yet. Like, I haven't seen enough good performances. He still does decently well when I put him in to run a mock test. Like, there's some units here in B that when I put them in, sometimes they get absolutely blown to smithereens or nothing works. And if I put him in a team, I may not win, but it's not ugly. Does that make sense?
It's kind of like a lightning issue. I feel like if he was a unit in another element, maybe we would be seeing more of him.
Yeah.
But it's like you look at lightning and they have so many characters like him, so many like slash bruisers that he's not doing enough to like differentiate himself to like bring him to the top of that list. Yeah, I don't think that he deserves to drop into B necessarily, but certainly performance wise, it hasn't been there, and we're not seeing much of him out there certainly. So maybe he's like on definitely kind of entering that chopping block area.
I would agree. I'd agree. There's still things that he does well against strike. He's still got some good bulk that I'm constantly surprised by. He still has one of the highest effective HPs in the game. The Dark War Max just got a great upgrade for the 10 AoE res, which we talked about. Like, is a great thing for him. It's there. Yeah.
We'll probably be seeing an MA2 come in shortly for him too.
Yeah, that's a good one. Which brings us to our next one of Renoa. I'll let you take the reins on this. What do you think about Renoa at the moment?
Renoa, I think that we purely put an A, I think, in the last go around, like for meta condition wise, where we were very much dealing with Alaya problems, and even like she was helpful in dealing like with the soul meta as well. I think that using her recently, like it's not as exceptional, it's not as good as it was before. She was being used like in the Earth Evasion team, and like still is to some extent, like built around that Halloween card, and that's still pretty good. But I think that she probably is dropping into a B tier for me.
I would agree with that. Her big thing has always been AoE res, and now that's completely neutered with the amount of AoE crush that we're seeing. She'll get absolutely nuked out of the sky in one shot by most unit-oriented attacks of these top-end units. Haste, as we've talked about, is getting more forms of Dispel. A2 as one of them. She can Dispel Haste on hit for 3 turns, so that's a big meta thing. And I've always agreed there was a meta condition where she gets like all that extra lightning res, not a lot of other survivability tools. And so outside of the AoE and the lightning res, there's not much there. I'm comfortable with her in A, but I'm comfortable dropping her too because I think in the future we're going to see her fall further.
Yeah, I think we should put her down for now.
I'm comfortable with that.
Because I think like she's probably comparable to Dagger and Ayaka and some of these other support focused units. I think there's not going to be like a huge value add or a huge differentiation.
No, totally. And I'll kick off the next news with Resnick. I'm comfortable putting Resnick down. We have not seen Resnick anywhere in any Lightning teams in quite some time for anything. Despite the fact that she can grant barrier, she has a great buff for the Lightning attack, for the unit res. They upgraded that ability. I can't even remember what it is, but I remember it's a really good upgrade for what else they give her. Her limit break is still fantastic as the insta-heal. Her survivability is still not horrendously. She does get one shot by a lot, so oftentimes she'll like get brought down to 1 and then just heal herself back up constantly. She does have the Steel Heart on the sub job too, and the Thief, which does come in handy sometimes. Not an easy unit to take down, but not an A tier unit anymore.
I mean, she was kind of part of the rise of the Devouts overall, like with Saul the last go arounds.
Yep.
And with Devouts kind of taking a step back and her falling off a lot of the Lightning teams where, the best Lightning teams right now are generally centered around Astrius, Alaya, and Raph. She can be part of that mix. And I think that like if you didn't pull one of those characters, like you could potentially move her in. It's not going to be as good.
As good, right?
I still think she's a good unit, and I think that she's going to be one of those ones like teetering between A and B, but I think B is probably fair for her for her performance recently.
Definitely. definitely. And next one up here is Squall. So RNJ, cover your ears because who knows what we're gonna say. He's in the Vega territory for me. I don't see Squall anywhere, but like I'm still not giving up on him conceptually on paper because there's a lot to still really like there in terms of what he has for the giant slash and peril, which does help many in his job group. There's not a lot of slash and perils in that group. I do like what he has for like the honeycomb barrier, which although more characters are getting it, his is still the strongest. I still like what he can do there from like the guaranteed hit perspective. Um, there's still a lot of good things on paper. Bulk wise, he's like competitive. It's hard for me to drop him to a B. Looking at the other physical damage dealers in B, but I haven't seen him enough. Again, it's like literally like Vega. Same convo.
Yeah, I think, I mean, both of these units here, both of these lightning units, Run-On and Squall, I think they haven't lost enough that they drop out of A, but again, it's like a lightning problem where they have a lot of units that are kind of in a similar value range that these units aren't doing enough in this particular meta to like really step themselves up to counter anything that we're seeing currently. But at the same time, like their kits are good enough that I don't want to say that they're, equivalent to like an Astrius or Ildyra or some of these other B units. So I think the A is fair for them.
I agree. Yep. Same thing with Renan. To that same point, there's still so much he does well. He's evolved and done very well. I won't talk more on that because we have a lot to still get through. But before we get to some of the upgrades, let's keep talking about some of just the debates. Kefka, up or down? Fire unit here. What are we thinking for him in a potential ice meta?
I tested him a lot today, and I hadn't used him in a. And keep in mind, mine is really juiced up, and he was doing okay against mono ice. No doubt, he's gangbuster. He's going to be really good. It's when you start bringing in other units, like is he going to be okay against the black mages? It was fair. It wasn't great, but it was close. It was close to being good. I still think like he's a pretty decent unit. I think he's better than a lot of the mages that we're seeing in B, the Sakaras of the world,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Queen Macherie,
Yes.
Helena Summer.
Yeah.
So I think A is still okay for him.
I'm okay with that too. Same. He's haven't seen enough of him, but this is potentially the time to shine with things changing. I agree during that Helena VV meta, he was not an ideal candidate, but outside of that magic meta, he certainly still has value, particularly for fire. I still think he's number 2 behind Soul in terms of fire mages, but I'll give Kefka credit. One of Soul's downsides that I don't like is how his strongest abilities are single target oriented. Kefka's strongest abilities are AoE oriented, and although Kefka has the downside of like one of the worst cast times I can remember for like a mage in recent history, the cast time is atrociously bad without completely changing how you gear him. As a fire mage, I think he's still very good. Yeah.
He's one of those characters that like once he has a teammate that can give him the AoE shred, like maybe Joom comes in here in a couple of weeks with the glove AoE shred, then now we're talking for Kefka again. Yeah, he's kind of waiting for that, I think.
Definitely. And we had gone back and forth a little bit on Halloween Lucio, who even last time we did this tier list, I was on the fence for making the S case, but it was a little too early. I just kind of figured Earth would get countered more by wind, and he gets destroyed by the just mere existence of like any kind of wind guaranteed hit unit, which is many. He obviously did well in the PvP championships. He still seems to be a staple in a variety of different teams. I'm personally still comfortable in S tier, but I could be convinced for A tier. There's still so much that he does utility wise. His evasion has stood up way better than I've kind of thought. The nullify sure hit not being there, it hurts, but it's not awful. And then we talk about this A2 meta. I don't think he does that bad against that. They're accurate, don't get me wrong, but he's got a physical barrier she can't break. There's some stuff to like there. The healing power down.
Him having the huge barrier and A2 not being able to break it, despite her being very accurate, does help him out a lot. His Dispel Slam has been an incredible ability. He does a ton of damage with it. I think that we actually underrated him previously. He should have been S last time. So even though he's might be on the fence at this point, we should probably just to honor him, we should put him in the S tier, I think.
I agree with that. He's lasted way longer, and I love the Axe group. Axe is still very competitive for a variety of reasons. I will say though, quick pause. I am I am a little uncomfortable with having 4 Earth units in the S tier. Something about that does not seem right to me, which we'll have
Yeah.
to have to reevaluate. But
Yep.
we'll keep getting to that as we go through the rest of this. Flagbearer Glaciella S tier, up or down? Staying.
Glassy up or down? I think I want to say up. I
I
think
I
she's
go up.
by bar none like the best wind unit. We should probably have one wind unit there in the top. So
Yep, absolutely no disagreements. Emnilus, up or down?
I think she stays.
I agree.
Stay.
I think she stays.
She had a
Skahal,
good
oh,
MA too. So
great MA2. And yeah, Staff Devout, still strong vision cards. Skahal, Limit Break upgrade. But that enough? Up or down?
he
Stays.
stays.
Stays. I agree.
Yep.
I agree. We'll go back to some of these. Actually, even the. Yeah, we won't discuss these BCD characters in depth. We'll look at Hyo real quick. Up or down or stay?
He could be
I'll do
moving
it.
up.
I'll do it. Let me do it. Let me do it. Let me be the one. I'm going up. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die in this hell. I really have high hopes for Hyo for the A2 meta, where he's got massive AoE dispel. He's got dispel re-raise on a select 2 ability. He has extra innate ice res compared to most fire units overall. He doesn't need to be hyper accurate against that incoming meta that we'll probably see. Against 2P, sure, it's gonna struggle. Ice and water in particular, not a huge deal, and you can gear for it a little bit. His AoE res, sure, it can be debuffed, but Great Sword has gotten debuff reduction vision cards lately, so he can benefit from that. He is the antithesis to A2 going up. I think he goes up with it.
I was playing with him today, and he was really, really doing well. So I think A is good.
Next one, I'll also take the lead. I want to go Grifford A. We held him back because we were in a fire meta. How could you possibly justify the use of an ice unit during the soul meta? But he is competitive, if not better, I think, than Fryevia. Again, 2 totally different tanks. But from a tank perspective, he's way better than Snow. Axe, you tested with him earlier today. What were the results of yours? I'll let you elaborate.
Also very good. Held up to a black mage team and definitely holds up to a physical team. So I think A is probably good for him too.
Yeah, she protects his barrier. There's a lot of overlap there for what they do to synergize together. So I like that a lot. Joom, up or down? Or stay? Stay. I agree.
She stays.
I agree. It's not great, but she stays. Isolaya, up, down, or stay?
I want her to be an A again, but I don't because of the missile situation. She can take a hit though. Like she has the area resistance to potentially take a hit. I don't know if I like it enough yet to say B, but to say A, but she's probably pretty close. Like I think she still does a ton of damage too.
I'm okay with that. I'm cool with keeping her. She gets protected in the limit break now too.
I just haven't seen the results enough yet to move her up, but she certainly could be.
Yeah, my missile instinct is telling me to not make any drastic decisions here on missile units.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Jaden, up or down or stay?
I think he stays.
I think he stays. Velis, up, down, stay.
Velis is going up. He's definitely back to A.
I agree.
He's in the early testing with mono ice. He's been amazing. Again, A2 protects his barrier as well that he gets from his limit burst, and her like healing the group. Fryevia potentially, if you have her in the mix, it gets him more damage opportunities, and he can actually do quite a bit of damage, especially with the AoE shred from A2. So A is a definite for him.
I agree. And the last one, Melnia. I know I just said not moving missile units. I think she's A. I think she's the only exception.
Her re-raise removal is so good.
Yeah.
I think she has to go into A right now. Mage meta because of A2. She checks all the boxes that you want to counter those units. It's just at least where we play, where all of the units are juiced up. It's hard for her to compete sometimes because the missile reincarnation is so bad. But she's good. I think A is good.
I would agree. Which brings us then to our C tier, kicking off with Oberyn. Up, down, or stay?
I think he goes to B.
I agree.
I think the LB upgrade was good enough to get him back into B.
I had to use him in Arena last week, and I couldn't have won without him. He did very good. I was very impressed. Good.
Yeah, the LB upgrade was really good for him. I think he still needs a little bit more, I think, to be like a truly competitive unit. But if you put him against Lightning, he's going to do really well, and even against some other teams, he'll do pretty well too.
Yeah, to me, C is like niche or kind of scrubbed here, and he's neither of those. He can actually compete now. Lena, up, down, or stay?
I think we kind of underrated her last time, and since Zidane has come in, that has elevated, and the Magic meta has come in, and that's really her wheelhouse. She's at least as good as Ayaka, if not better. So I think B tier is good for her.
Completely agreed. Yep, I used her for the first time when Zidane came out, and I was surprised. I was very surprised how good she was. Cetia, up, down, or stay?
Uh,
It's,
she
it's tough.
probably should go into B tier, but she really didn't impress me with my initial impressions in testing with her. So it's not going to be easy for her, especially like if there's even just a hint of like an ice water mix or like Glaciella is tanking for A2,
Oh yeah,
then like she's not going to do anything. So
you just convinced me. You just yeah. The whole summer glass angle, forget about it. No way.
yeah, probably stays.
Yep. Rugia, up, down, stay. You got an MA too.
He had a really good weapon upgrade and a good MA2. I think that he's maybe a B tier.
Oh, I'll argue back. I
Um,
still say stay. I still can't get over the fact he's like Shadow Links. I can't get over the fact that his only AOE in his entire kit is just a decrease evasion percent. That's the only AOE ability in the kit. At least Shadow Links on Ice has the Hunter sub job with the CT down that I've been using that I can flex which AOE I want. He does not have that option. That's such a unique niche that so many people do better. We talk about Earth missile units, like I can't.
yeah.
Yeah. Engelbert, up, down, stay.
He's kind of on the borderline for me. He got a nice LB upgrade, and maybe now that some mages are getting put away a little bit as we look forward, he could potentially inch into B, but relying on courage is still not a good place to be for me. And I think the overall utility that he brings is still not good, even if the tanking is there, in a physical meta. So I think C is probably he stays for me, I think.
He stays for me. I'm fine because of the strike resurgence that we're about to come into. He does very well against strike. Doesn't necessarily need the courage to live. He lives just off his effective HP alone. The limit break upgrade is a really good one. I just think it's difficult to make mono light teams with him in consideration. From a job perspective, I that job class also is kind of like not making waves. I think C's totally fine.
I think Snow is going to move up for me though.
What? No shot. Wait a minute, guys. Everyone pause. I was about to put Snow in D. I swear to God. I
Dude,
swear to
I've
God.
I've
Wait. You cannot in the same breath say that you can't rely on courage to live, and this dude literally only lives on courage. That's it. He's got no.
he doesn't though. I'm telling you, like I've been using him the past couple of days. I think he'll surprise you. Like if you give him another run with his upgrades
With
now.
only 10 strike res pen, he doesn't do the damage anymore.
Yeah, I mean the damage isn't necessarily there, but his
He
heal
only
back is still
he only
there.
has hate for 3 turns. That was it. You get past those 3 turns of hate, and he's nothing. That was the big thing with him was that he was so high on DPS. You needed to end the fight within those 3 turns because if you didn't, then the fight went on for longer. By them taking away the strike res pen and him being so courage reliant, like woo.
I don't know. I think like from a tanking perspective, like if I look at the tanks in B tier, I would be comfortable putting them against Warrior of Light. And I don't know. I think that he did pretty well for me in arena and free match the past couple of days with A2 with Velis. Um, I don't know. If you're that strong about it though, then I guess we can leave him in C.
I don't want to spend too much time because I know we're long on this. I'm looking at your tank example of like I agree. Celeste and Warrior of Light, he's next to them. Alphonse is in there though, and I don't think he's next to Alphonse.
I don't think he's that I don't think Alphonse is that much better than him, to be honest with you. He's better, but not leaps and bounds better that he's a whole tier above him.
Oh, I think he is. Alphonse has that heal back, that like 30%. It's just a flat 30%. The effective HP, Alphonse can break those barriers, which we need desperately right now. It's a guaranteed hit. Snow has guaranteed it too, though, so that doesn't count. Alphonse has the slow on limit break. Still, it's only single target, but still, like I still think there's a difference there. I'll keep Snow at
Like
C till I see differently. I agree. D was probably harsh, but
he's at least a C. Like I think people like will I think he's gonna look better than you remember if you give him a try in arena.
okay. I'll do that this week. We'll see what happens.
If you keep him away from the mages.
Oh, there's another demerit in the kit now. Okay, wait a minute. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But which brings us then to Fry, and I'm comfortably putting her in A. I don't know about you.
The LB is like a unique enough like value add that for now, like while the mages are still while Helena is still a 70% pick rate, she deserves to be an A. She's probably gonna fall off pretty soon though as we start transitioning into more physical heavy stuff.
I would agree. Right, she gets nuked by a lot of like strike damage and whatnot, and we've said this: the limit break is such a game changer, but it's only good for one fight. So on the one hand, yeah, quick pick, class match, arena, stellar. Guild War, good for defend, then nothing after. Like the results are so drastic when you don't have that, but but it's that good when you do have that. So I think it's worthy of the A. We've shown it on highlights and showcases. It's there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Water Eldaya. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Charlotte. Stay up, down.
Charlotte, I think is a B tier. I think that's
I'll meet you there.
we showed enough like in some of the showcases against Helena that she deserves to move up. She was strong enough there, I think.
Yep. Water Ildira.
I think she stays. Like her LB upgrade wasn't really much of anything. I think that's she stays for sure.
Yep. Lightning from 13. Up, down, or stay?
Going up. Yep. She got the 140, the MA2. I think she's a B tier damage dealer.
I'll meet you
At
there.
least.
I'll meet
At
you there.
least.
Eliza from Ice. Up, down, or stay?
So she hasn't gotten any significant upgrades, but maybe like the rising tide argument for her potentially still has the ice and peril.
I say stay.
Yeah,
If Elias and B, Eliza's not on Elias level.
I agree.
They go well together. They each prop each other up. But like if I'm making a team of 3, I don't think I'm doing both of them in 2P. A2. And if I'm picking between one of them to go with A2, I'm not picking Eliza. You know what I mean?
And we have Satya and Rogia here as comparables. So
Yeah.
that's
Brings us to
Sylvie.
the next. Sylvie. I'm comfortable with A.
I was gonna say at least B and can be persuaded to go into A. I think what potentially puts her there though is the red mage group and how strong that is overall.
100%.
It gives her like an angle to be played outside of mono lights. I feel like she's going to be, maybe with like the next with Lucio coming in, that could be like an interesting thing for her too. So maybe some future potential. So yeah, I think A is good. She's still very solid.
Yeah. And just from the support conversation, like Ayaka and Lena are really good. I think Sylvie's better. I think Velas, as good as he's about to be, I think Sylvie does enough good things. And to your point on Red Mage, like that's a huge value add. She's surprised me. There's been a lot of use of her in free match and arena, and she still has the evade angle. She still has the sustain angle, the mid fight barrier. There's a lot to still like there. We'll get down to the D tier. Noctis, up, down, stay the same.
He goes up.
I agree.
Pretty good upgrade. Yep.
My results are underwhelming, but he's at a great upgrade, enough to bump him up for sure. Winter Luartha, up, down, stay.
I'm gonna make an argument that she deserves to be in the B tier.
Wow.
I think the LB upgrade is good enough. I think that the 140 was underwhelming and that it just kind of wounds her in on being very accurate, but the LB upgrade is exceptional with getting the barrier there on top of like the strong imperil, and it fixes like some of her AP management issues as well. So I think that she's close to Shadow Links, like in terms of performance, because she does have that additional survivability with the barrier. But maybe I'm starting to like talk myself into a C now that I'm looking at it again.
What do
you think?
I was just going to ask. I have not seen it, so my question was going to be if Shadow Links is the bar. We put her there because she has that nuke potential with the dispel. That's super high impact as the trade off. I didn't think Winter Luartha had that same trade off for her durability, which got better, but still very much below average. I didn't know if she still had the nuking capability we were just talking about, though. So I was comfortable with a D. I can absolutely put her in a C. B
might be high. I think she's definitely a C though.
Yeah.
Like if you look at if you're looking at like Dwayne, like Stern, like Luell, like I think she's better than those units.
Yeah, I'm okay
which is why I was kind of inching towards B, but we can put her in C for now.
Yeah. Ice Victoria. I got to keep her here.
The LB upgrade didn't give her enough to like really move her, so I think she stays. Yeah.
No, Titus, he's got to stay.
He stays. Yeah, it was a decent upgrade for him, and Hastig is still good, but he stays.
Ibarra, I'm cool with a C. I'm cool putting her up.
I think she got a really good upgrade. I think that she's like as good as Skahal. I would say that she probably should be in a B tier for me.
Intriguing. I kind of figured Skahal had more like nuking power than she did. A little more. I know his courage is kind of gimmicky, but he's also got the guaranteed hit. He's got that time mage sub job. She's kind of just like a lot of magic damage with a huge magic weakness. That I don't know if
she can get like in like the 60, maybe 50 to 60 area resist, and she has the huge barrier. So like potentially right now, I don't think that she's as strong in the magic meta, but like as we trend maybe towards physical, I can see it more.
I don't hate it. I don't have a strong opinion on it, but I'm okay with that. What about Esther? Up, down, stay the same. Yeah, definitely not staying the same.
She is at least a C. She's again like unusable in the current meta, but has a very, very strong niche for physical, but specifically pierce damage and to a lesser extent strike damage too.
I gotta
She's
keep. Oh,
at
good.
least a C.
I would agree. I have to keep her in C till I see results, if that makes sense. There's too much copium for me to bump her into the bar of where many of these B units are. But it's up.
Mhm.
She's trending up. It's going up for sure. Kane, up, down, stay the same.
He probably stays.
He stays. This dude's a
Like
he's a feather.
yeah, he relies on courage too, which
Yeah.
it's tough to beat right now.
Yep. Whisper, up, down, stay the same.
Stay.
I agree. I max reincarnated her. Nothing.
Didn't
Nothing.
matter.
Didn't matter. Nothing. I'm waiting for
Uh,
that vision card group to get some more love.
Her
It's.
limit burst upgrade was bad too. I
Oh, I
mean,
didn't hate. I don't hate it. It's actually helped a couple times.
I think it just needed much more range. Is my main issue with it.
That's
The
fair.
effect is fine, but it's still just the one range, which is tough.
Yeah. Winter Ravies, up, down, stay the same.
She's going up. She's
Oh,
at least a C for me. I feel like she's probably close to Bronwell.
I agree with that.
She's close to her bulk, and she's more accurate, and she has like the AP siphoning niche.
I like it. Can I
Mm,
make? Can I propose a trade here? Can I trade Sorrow from B down into C with Winter Ravies?
Yeah, you can do that.
Sorrow in B looks weird to me. It's been sticking out for a little while. He's a really good unit. He's still a totally fine unit, but like,
But he's level 120 and can't be reincarnated. And
right. I'm looking
yeah,
at the B units here, and it's one of those things. It's like I see these units, I don't see him. You know what I mean? Aranea, up, down, stay the same.
she goes up. She's a C tier unit
She's
for
C2
me.
unit. She got a little better. I one of my first units I 140'd with the upgrade. It was okay. Winter Victoria.
Stay.
Stay. I agree. Regular Glaciella.
I think she goes up. She had a very, very good LB upgrade with the remove courage re-raise. Gives her, I think, some AP as well. So I think I would use her over Gernsback. I think in a lot of cases she's much tankier. Yeah, I think
I
that's good.
I agree. Yeah. And then more.
It's like this was the time for this unit to shine and those niche strategies, and it didn't work. Like it's a sad day, I think, for more fans. I think she stays.
I agree. I agree. And so real quick as we over kind of look things over here, anyone look Farouche. We skipped him. Up, down,
Oh
stay the
yeah, we
same.
did. He should
Up.
go up.
We hated on him for a while. You hated on him for a while. I eventually gave in because I realized the error of my ways. Is he worth trading anybody out here just to make space on the chart? I'm gonna go.
He
I gotta drop Summer Ketone.
Yeah. Summer Katone goes.
Hasn't done it. It's been on paper.
Summer Lilith should go down, I think, as well.
I agree.
Because I mean if Victoria Winter is there, I think she's arguably better than Lilith. So
Yep. I think everyone in D I'm comfortable with.
yeah. Nobody else should be moving up here. Anybody else in C that can potentially move down here?
I gotta go Minwoo. I know you hate.
Minwoo?
I know you hate that. I just.
Yeah.
This
I
is
mean
no
she's
way.
like my fire waifu.
I
Okay.
know.
She can go down.
But you know what I mean. Have you even tested with it? When's the last time you tested an auto PvP? Never. Like
It's not gonna be good.
it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to. Um,
What about Mashiri, OG Mashiri?
I think she's fine. She's got some AI problems, so you got to step on it on the toggles a little bit. But like Calamity Guard's great. Her guaranteed hit's still great. She's got a lot of good bulk. Like
Mhm.
relatively speaking, Magic is Light's wheelhouse. So she's got the vision card support. She's Mace. Mace has great vision card support. She's just that's all propping her up. Her ceiling's still down here though.
B tier, anybody that else that we can push out? I think a lot of these are still pretty solid.
Soccer and Celeste look weird to me. Those are units that I just don't see in auto PvP ever, other than Limited Guild War. I gotta put Soccer in a C, I think.
Yeah, Sakura can go down.
And Celeste I just haven't seen ever. We're in a Magic meta.
S-
Who's you?
yes. Sakura, I think we like did a rising tide thing last time with Helena.
We
And
did.
we kind of gave her like a tentative bump up. So that's totally fair to push her down. Celis,
This was the meta.
yeah.
Like, and you never, and no one used her. She's
If Dwayne is in the C tier, she probably deserves to be in C tier.
yeah,
That's fair. I think that's fair. I think B tier was the right place for Ibarra because we have Summer Helena in there. I
yeah.
think that she's better than Helena, like bar none.
I gotta think about that more, but it's close. I think Helena's upgrade was a really good one, but I know what you mean. And I think the A tier, anyone that deserve up or down, man, I there's another unit here that's like you're gonna hate
Sticking
me.
out to you in the A tier,
Yeah,
Stern,
no, no,
Jaden.
no, like like Yuffie just a little bit. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Like
It's
very.
been
It's been a
it's been
while. Very nice application. Ice is about to go nuts though. But you just did some testing with her earlier, even. But eight, that's a tough
I
one.
think I think she's a better unit still than I think she's still better than Stern. I think that
Yeah, I won't drop her. I won't
I
drop
think
her.
she's still better than Vega.
Yeah, yeah,
Um
I agree.
at what she does. Like I
Yep,
think the problem is that like one of the best teams for her right now is like Saul, Yuffie, Shawls. And that team actually is pretty good. But the Helenas in Global are so accurate that they're able to because of reincarnations and because so many people have Helena that everybody's packing the marshmallow that the Saul evasion just doesn't work. Even if she can dodge, like Saul just ends up getting nuked.
that's fine. I
But
remember.
I still think she's good though.
I don't disagree. I did some tests myself. I just remember her the slash res power creep a little bit. I remember her just not doing the damage that I remembered her doing 8 months ago. Which, when you talk about an evade unit with nullify shirt wears off, if you haven't killed him by then, you're kind of screwed. And I remember that being a thing where like the fights were going longer than they used to, and the battle of attrition wasn't the same.
It's definitely more important to bring in like the slash res pen cards now, like Sildra
Which is hard.
or
Which is hard in an evade team,
yeah.
right? Because it's always been you go evade min maxing, and what do you drop?
If
Uh,
anybody can drop a little bit of evasion though, it's generally going to be her.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm fine keeping her there. It was just one of those ones where it's kind of like probably should have had the yellow and blue arrow on it.
it's an interesting debate, but I think what would probably maybe what would cement it would be Ice on the uptick. I still think she's one of Fire's best options to combat it, even despite A2 being pretty accurate.
Yeah,
So
she can blind. Blind is huge. That's all you need. Yep.
yeah,
So cool. All right. Well, after much deliberation, holy shit,
this
we
was a long one.
this is a long one, but worthy because there is a lot of shifts.
I mean, there's so many upgrades coming through, and it's been overdue for one. It's been 2 months since we did this, so maybe it took a little bit longer than we would have liked.
Seeing the full complete list now, I think I'm okay with Dialdo and A. Want to make that move?
We gotta push one Earth unit. Like, there's too much Earth in
There's
there
too much
for
earth in
like
there, right?
their position in the meta right now, which is on a downswing. 2P, we're kind of like projecting a little bit based off of JP results. Obviously we haven't used her for ourselves yet, but like the track record, at least on the JP side, is there that we like it enough to put her there provisionally, I guess.
Yep.
That would be the other one I'm somewhat questioning. And then we did say Bradley was a low defense, so that's probably fair.
But I think these two are still cuts above A, which, as a barometer of comparison, I think is still accurate.
Yeah.
Like if AOE res is a problem, like Stern has that problem still. You know what I mean? Like there's still a lot of units here that have AOE issues because of the lack of crush. But okay, all right. Well, click. Everyone take a picture. That is our tier list for now as of January 29th. We will unfortunately omit the Q&A that we had planned. We have just gone entirely too long for what we wanted. So we will call it here, but we will have the Q&A for next week. And without any further deliberation, nothing else to say. I think we covered it all.
Yeah. Good luck to everybody if you're going for 2P, and we'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you later.